What's up, fuckers? What's cracking? This is week number 8 of Lamb on the Line. Dude, it seems like it's shorter and shorter gaps between each week. It seems like a blink and we're doing another show. The NFL was going by fast, Cheats. Already through 8 games. Let's go back a couple days ago to our Thursday night game. The Buffalo Bills held on to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks 24-18. The Bills are 5-3, but they haven't looked the best. It looks like maybe the Buccaneers are starting to come back down to earth. I think they started 2-0. Started 2
Yep.
and 0. Now they're 1-4 after that. So I don't know. Maybe their season's done. You were pretty critical of the Bills a couple weeks ago. Does this win change your mind at all? Anything?
No, I mean, no, that doesn't change my mind. We've said it before. We'll say it again. It's a week-to-week league. It looked good. They beat a shit Bucks team by 6. Whatever. They're still going to win double-digit games, get to the playoffs, and lose in the AFC Championship around there. So does it change my mind? No. Is Josh Allen playing a little better and the Bills look good? Sure, you could say that. I don't think the Bucks are all that great. Probably the third, maybe second team in that division. But they moved to 5-3, and now they're only one game behind the superior team in the AFC North. So, what do you think?
I think the Bills are fine. I've been saying that all along. I'm not too concerned about them. I know a lot of people were worried about that. I mean, they beat the Giants, but they had a scrape by. It came down to the last play. Then they take the L to the Patriots a couple weeks ago. It's just I think they're fine still. They have a big game coming up next week against the Bengals on the road. Finally, that game's on Sunday night. Finally, we get a good Sunday night game. Last night was terrible, and I think 2 weeks ago was not good either. I know we had the Raiders in there, Raiders Steelers one week. Finally, Roger Goodell's giving us a good service here this coming weekend, with Bengals and Bills. Let me see. All the money, 85% of the money is on the Bengals to cover. So I might ride with Buffalo next week, looking ahead a little bit.
It's only a 3. It's actually, this line surprised me. I just looked at it. The Bengals -3.
Hmm.
I did not expect that to be there. That essentially means they think it's a pick 'em game if it's played on a neutral field. Bengals look good. I think I would. Yeah. Who'd you say you'd lay money on? Who's the money on?
The public, 85% of the public is on the Bengals to cover that. So I was thinking Bills.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking Bills too. That's a fit. Bengals -3. I feel like this should be Bills like -1.5, 2.5.
Hmm.
But is that what they want us to think, Sheets?
I don't think so. I think they're trying to bait us into buying into that Bengals hype. The Bengals had a big win. Everyone thinks they're back. So I think they're trying to bait us into that. That's why they're saying, no, the Bengals are the favorites. They're the better team. They looked good last week. Take them. So I think no, I think by going against them, and I could be wrong, but I think going against them would be in our benefit. Last night there was a lot of money on the Chargers to cover 9.5 against the Bears. And I actually rode with the public last night because I felt like the NFL was baiting us into taking the Bears. I think last night the NFL was like, hey, you can get the Bears 9.5. Like they just won a game 2 weeks ago. So take the Bears. So I rode with the Chargers last night, but I think this game, I think they're trying to bait us into taking the Bengals. So I wouldn't take that.
Yeah, no, I think that's the Bills all day. Early look ahead for Sunday night. A couple times tonight, Meisner, I'm gonna ask you if this team is above or below, and what I mean by that is if they're above or below what their record shows. Or you could say right at if you want to. The Bills, both these teams, the Bills are sitting 5-3, and the Bengals are 4-3. Where are those two sitting out with you? Are those accurate records?
The Bengals is accurate record. Yes, they've had some pretty good wins mixed with some ugly losses. So 4-3 makes sense for them. I think the Bills are a little better, should be better than their 5-3 record. So that would be above, right?
Yeah. Yep. So all right. I'm not. I think the Bills are exactly what they're 5-3. They're still going to lose those dumb games that they lose every year. Allen's going to throw his picks. So I think they're right on it. As far as on the opposite side, I think the Bengals are below what I think they can show. They could they're going to be a little better than 4-3 by the end of the year. At least play like it in the playoffs, but we'll see.
All right, so moving on, that was our Thursday night game. Let's go to yesterday's action. I'll get the Colts. Like I said, the Colts play Union every week, so I might as well just leave with them every week. They took the L to Derek Carr and the boys, 38-27 this week. I mean, we hung in there for a little bit, but Gardner Minshew, like I said last week on the show, he's just not the answer. So I don't know. We'll see how these next couple weeks play out. For a second there, I thought, I don't know, maybe there's some Colts hype to buy into. Next thing you know, AR is down and Gardner Minshew is the quarterback. And it's exciting in theory. Gardner Minshew is a wild guy. I love him. I'm glad he's on our team. He's just a cool guy. I liked him going back to Washington State, the Mike Leach days, but he's not very good. He's not a very good pro quarterback. He's not a very good professional quarterback. So we'll just have to. I mean, at this point, we're just gonna have to ride it out. Hopefully, these losses honestly kind of chalk up. I don't think we're gonna make the playoffs. So there's really no point in going 7-10 or 8-9 if you're not gonna make the playoffs. So we'll see if we do anything with the deadline. The trade deadline is in what, 2 days or tomorrow? The trade deadline is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't foresee us doing anything. Um, I think the season is shot though. So I'm kind of in tank. Let's tank mode. Let's tank. You don't have to draft a quarterback because you already have one. You just hurt. So I mean, let's tank, get the best skill position guy on the board, maybe the best defensive guy on the board. So I'm all in for the Colts tanking. It was for the Saints on the other end. It was a big win for them. This is a win they kind of needed to have, I think. They lost 2 in a row. They lost to the Texans 2 weeks ago. Then they lost to the Jags last weekend. You don't want to complete a 3-week sweep, all L's to the AFC South. That never looks good, no matter what division you're in. Even if you are in the NFC South, you don't want to go 0-3 back to back to back to AFC South teams. So if I'm a Saints fan, I'm feeling good. Like I said, I say this every week. I still think they're the best team in the division. So they have the Bears next week. They should win that game. We'll talk more about Vikings when Broden Coulter comes on here in a little bit, but they play the Bears and Vikings the next 2 weeks in a row. So they could potentially rip off 2 wins in a row. So I think the Saints are sitting pretty in the NFC South. The Falcons don't look great. The Panthers got their first win yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty good about the Saints. Do you think I'm too early to give up on the Colts though, or what do you think about that? What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I think it's a little too. If I'm not giving up on the Packers at 2-5, you can't give up at 3-5,
Okay,
especially with that division.
right.
And you have the Panthers and Patriots up next, and then the Bucks after that. Which I mean, the Bucks are kind of iffy right now. We don't know which way they're going to go, but those are 3 winnable games. Even if you go 2-1 in those next 3, you're sitting at 5-6 in your division. That's not nothing to be bad. But here's my question: Are they going to continue? And I know our um, longtime listener Ryan Funk would like to know the answer to this question as well. Are they going to keep just splitting carries with Taylor and Moss, or are they eventually just going to make Taylor the workload back?
I think the original plan was for Jonathan Taylor to come back and like take over his workload that we're used to. But dude, like clearly don't need him. Like Zach
Yeah,
Moss is doing great without him. So I don't know. I think they've tried to give Jonathan Taylor his fair share, but he just right now he's just not better. That could be he's just maybe not back into NFL mode yet. I mean, it's the best of the best. I mean, it's probably gonna it takes a couple games to get back into the rhythm of things as a player, especially at running back. I mean, you got to make moves and block. I mean, you got to be smart. You got to play smart to be running back. Besides quarterback position and O line, like receivers, you don't need to know much. Running backs are kind of involved with a lot. So they're trying to ease it back in, and I just think the other guy's playing better. So I don't know. We'll see what we do with that.
it's interesting because you guys just paid him a lot of money, obviously. But
Yeah.
like you said, Zach Moss is producing, so it's like what I don't know. Zach Moss? He's like 20. He's 25 years old. Dude, I think yeah, I don't know. You're kind of in a weird situation with the running back. Not that it matters too much, but I don't think you should give up on him. I think you should give up on um, going and getting the number 2, 3 pick in the draft. Don't do that yet. Don't. You're only 3-5. A lot of season. We're not even halfway through.
No, I'm not gonna count us out next yet. If we lose next week to the Panthers, it's done. So if you lose to the Panthers, it's
Yeah.
over with. You lose to Frank Reich, who you just fired. I mean, the real problem with the Colts issues lie with our ownership and management. It's just been terrible for a decade now. So, I mean, on the large scale of things, Gardner Minshew, and Jonathan Taylor, not that's just the smallest of issues we got to worry
I
about.
don't know if you saw your our boy
Yeah,
Leisinger comment. Yeah, Taylor averaged 9 yards a carry in the first half. Shane Steichen is a bum. I don't know. He must be going after like give the ball to Taylor more. But
yeah.
I think Zach Moss is just as good right now.
Taylor did pop off in the first half, but he only got. I mean, like Leisinger said, he only got a handful of carries in the second half. And then you could argue that if he would have just held steady with Taylor and just rode him, that's kind of what we've done the last couple of years. Is Jonathan Taylor gets 25, 30 carries, and we throw it when we need to. Gardner Minshew, they're letting him rip it in full force. Last week he threw it like 50 some times. This week he threw it 41 times. So I mean, I'm kind of with him. Um, Taylor did end up getting more, and Taylor ended up with 12 carries. They split carries, but the bigger issue is with who's running the ball. It's you're throwing it 40 times and you're running it 20 times. That's stupid. So yeah, Shane
Yeah.
Steichen was wrong. I mean, just in all aspects. I don't care who's getting the ball. If Jonathan Taylor averages 8 yards and Zach Moss averages 7 yards, I don't care who's getting it. Run the ball more than you're throwing it. If you have Gardner Minshew in, that's my issue. But
Yeah. One last thought on that. Now that I've kind of been thinking about it a little bit, you should have just not paid Taylor and started Moss.
yeah, well, obviously, yes. I mean, like I said, our front office usually makes decent deals. I think it's just the owner, Jim Irsay, gets in the way a lot. I don't know. It's just not a great run franchise. We're lucky we got fucking a Super Bowl out of Peyton Manning and almost back to another one with Andrew Luck. It's been chaos since then. So I don't know. I don't. We never really seem to have any answers. We're kind of just in the middle of where we could be good. We're not horrible. We're not, but we're not good. We're just in this weird position. And I think Shane Steichen's really trying to figure it out. I think he's trying to figure out this team too. It's his first year, so he's new to a head coach, and he kind of got thrown into a very unique situation. It's not like usually first year head coaches like, okay, the standard is we're gonna suck this year. I mean, he got thrown into a situation. It's like this team realistically should have been in the playoffs the last 4 or 5 years. You could argue the talent was there for the last 4 or 5 years. We could have been in the playoffs every year, and we've been to the playoffs once in the last 4 seasons now? 5? Yeah, in the last 4 seasons we've been there once with Philip Rivers. So I don't know.
Uh,
I don't really blame Shane Steichen. I think he's trying to do his best. Yeah, you just like your future quarterback's out. You just paid this running back a bunch of money, but the other guy's producing. Like he's in a tough spot too. It's just a
yeah.
weird scenario. We're in a quarterback curse. I say this every week. We're in a quarterback curse. There's nothing we can do. Who's to say Anthony Richardson's even the guy?
He might be. You got to be optimistic.
He looks like he is, but I'm just telling you, we're in a quarterback curse. He could be damaged goods. Maybe he could be hurt. I'm not throwing anything past the NFL gods at this point. They just keep handing us a new shit show at quarterback every year. Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz. Now you're finally you get an answer. He's done after 4 games. And now you get
Well,
Gardner Minshew.
got to get over that hump somehow, Sheets. Got to get over
That's
that.
enough of the Colts talk. Let's move on to the next noon game here. The Panthers. I was actually, for being two teams that won't make the playoffs, this was actually a pretty exciting game, and it was actually a pretty compelling game. Like I said, last night's Sunday night game was horrible. I think it was of all the games yesterday, I think it was the least interesting of them all. Just like going into the week, if I looked at all the slated games, I would have said, yeah, the Bears and Chargers. That's probably the one I care to see the least of it all. Even though these teams aren't good, Bryce Young gets his first win of his NFL career. Shout out Bryce Young. He finally joins the rest of the rookies. AR got his. CJ Stroud got his. So he joins the group. First career win over the Texans, over CJ Stroud, 15-13. I didn't watch much of this in the first half. I caught kind of the end, but I thought that they were going to rig it for the Panthers, and they did. Bryce Young got his first career win. That's kind of thought. I thought that's what they're going to do with it. So, CJ Stroud didn't look very good. Only 140 yards. He had looked like he was almost like Pro Bowl level the first couple weeks. He finally doesn't play a great game, and Bryce Young. I mean, you can argue he played his best game of his career so far of the season. He gets his first win. No picks, 230 yards, a touchdown. Good for him. I still think they're the worst team in the league, but they finally get the first win off their back.
So I was at the Packers game, which we'll get to. So I didn't get to watch much of the noon slate, but if I was going to watch, I would agree. This is a garbage matchup, but it is enticing because of the quarterbacks. And interesting that Bryce Young got the better of CJ Stroud, and that CJ Stroud has looked miles better than him so far. You left out a rookie quarterback that also got the first win today or yesterday, and that's Will Levis. But
That's
we'll get
right.
to the Titans game. So him and Will Levis got the first win on the same day. Will Levis, I would say, looked a lot better than CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
But the Panthers and Texans, as far as the future of both these teams, Houston's at least 2 years away and needs to develop. They both need to develop these quarterbacks, and they're both fucked for this year. They're not going anywhere or doing anything this year. They probably just want to see improvement gradually by their quarterbacks is their biggest goal of the season.
The Texans are fine. I think they're in a good spot. Just keep trucking along. Take your lumps. They already got 3 wins. That's more than you might have thought you were going to get all year. The Texans, I think, are totally fine. D'Amico Ryans is going to be a great head coach. The Panthers are, I mean, congrats on them getting their first win. They're bad. And I don't know. I saw Frank Reich coach. The guy's not it. So if you're gonna build around a franchise quarterback, I wouldn't trust this guy to be his mentor. And they don't have any receivers. So we'll see if they make a deal. I mean, they're 1-6. Usually teams that are 1-6 aren't making deals to acquire talent. But if you're looking long term, you might need to get a receiver for this guy. Even if you're not, I mean, they're not gonna make the playoffs, but just to build a rapport of somebody and to get him some help, put some pressure off him. I think that's a team that needs to make a trade. I think his best dude is Adam Thielen, who has had some decent weeks, but that guy is past his prime. The Vikings, like he was like a beloved Viking, and they're like, we're still not gonna, even though we're not gonna pay this guy. Like, we'll let him go to Carolina gladly. So he's throwing Adam Thielen. He's handed the ball off to Chuba Hubbard, who averaged 2 yards a carry yesterday. Actually, under 2 yards a carry. He averaged 1.9 yards a carry. I mean, they have Jonathan Mingo, who's a young guy, DJ Shark, Terrace Marshall Jr. They got some young guys, but they need a proven guy. And by proven, I mean not a guy who was relevant 5 years ago in Adam Thielen. I think they need to make a deal. Even though Thielen had a good day yesterday, 8 carries for 70 yards. I think they need to trade to get somebody.
They just like you said, they're fucked. They're in a way worse position than the Texans. And I don't even think Thielen's like that good. Like he was obviously had a good career at Vikings, but he was never like a superstar. And he's putting up superstar-esque numbers with the Panthers. I think it's because Bryce Young has nowhere else to go with the ball. Like
Yeah.
literally nowhere else to go. So he just gets so many touches. And I personally thought Terrace Marshall Jr., I think he's like 3 years into the league, 3 or 4, and he's from LSU. I thought he was going to light it up. He hasn't really done shit since he's been drafted. Then Mingo's a rookie, a question mark. And then you have Chuba Hubbard or Chuba, whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah. If you're right, if Bryce Young's their guy for the next 5 years at least, you got to go get somebody. You got to surround him with talent because this isn't going to work.
No, and like I said, it's Frank Reich. That guy can't coach. I've watched him do it for years, at least try to. So they need to get him some weapons. I mean, Adam Thielen had 8 catches yesterday. That's great, but he averaged or finished with 70 yards. That's 9 yards. He's averaging 9 yards a catch. Like, dude, you want your stud guys to be averaging more than 8 yards a chunk. So, yeah, I think they need to get somebody else. Even if they're not gonna make the playoffs this year, they just need to get something going for the future. But that's all we need to really say about that game. Let's move on. This was I did not see this coming either. I thought this was gonna be a pretty decent game. I expected the Cowboys to win, but they flat out dominated the Rams. Like, that was one of the biggest ass whoopings of the year from the get-go. Stafford was throwing pick sixes. I think he threw 2 pick sixes right in a row, or pretty close to it, the same quarter, I think. So the Cowboys defense went nuts. That's kind of the theme with them is if they're gonna be good, the defense kinda rolls, and then Dak, it just if you put the pressure on Dak, it doesn't usually work well, but if the defense lights it up like this, it seems like he plays better when he doesn't have to do a whole lot. He put up good numbers, 25 or 31 for 300 yards and 4 tutties, but really it was the defense that sparked this whole thing, I thought. This whole Cowboys thing was the defense that really got him off the right note. And that was the same scenario a couple weekends ago of the Patriots. They kicked the shit out of the Patriots 48-3. When the defense sets the tone, they're in a good spot. But when the defense craps the bed, like they did a couple weekends ago against the Niners, it's just not. It ain't gonna work. Dak Prescott that game when the defense fell behind right away. He goes 14-24, 150 yards, 3 picks. Not good. You need to get that guy a lead and just get him feeling good. And honestly, like, even if he gives him a little boost, he plays pretty good. Like, he's a top 5 quarterback at times. But it just seems like when there's a lot of pressure on him, that's kind of when he folds. So I thought it was a big win for the Cowboys. The the Rams, I mean, they might put together 6 to 7 wins, but I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. I know they're still kind of banged up and they're reeling. That's just kind of we knew that when they traded from Stafford, that was their year. That was kind of their window. We knew they're kind of gonna kind of go back into rebuilding mode. So I think next year they'll probably be back into the playoffs, but this year they're gonna be middle of the pack. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. 3-5, and they had a tough schedule coming ahead. Seahawks are in there, Ravens, Browns. So we'll see. It's a long season. I'm not going to count them out yet, but I think they might just fall a little bit short this year. They didn't look good this week. They lost to the Steelers 2 weekends ago. They're banged up. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, First of all, the Cowboys are one of the most confusing. I think you actually just said it perfectly. They can play with the lead. They can't. They're not built to play from behind a little bit. When Dak's uncomfortable, it's not good. When he's comfortable, it's good. I don't under like how. Where is this team's expectations? They sit here at 5-2. They go into a huge game next week against the Eagles. I mean, they if you're a Cowboys fan, you're obviously optimistic that you're winning a Super Bowl. But can they? You think they can get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they can get to the Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy is a top tier coach in the NFL. Dak Prescott, I would argue, on any given day could be a top 5 quarterback. I would argue just, in general, he's probably a top 10 quarterback, top 12, probably top 10, I would say, within the league. I mean, he gets them to the gets them to the playoffs every year. So as a part-time Cowboys fan, I've always been a Cowboys supporter. Without a doubt, I think this team has the capabilities. I think this team has the talent to win a Super Bowl.
Here's where I stand. Sheets.
Yeah.
Their ceiling is the NFC Championship. You cannot trust Dak, and the only way they get past the ceiling is if they have that bye. I don't think they will, but if they do, I don't trust Dak to win 2 playoff games in a row. I don't think he can do it. He just has that name out, like he just chokes kind of. He's going to become the Tony Romo. He's just never going to get there, but he's going to be a good quarterback. They're going to have very similar careers, I think.
I mean, yeah, I can see that the Cowboys haven't been in a Super Bowl since what, the 90s? So yeah, I mean, maybe that is their ceiling. The roster is good enough to go to a Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy has won a Super Bowl. He's a great head coach. Like, he is. So on paper, Super Bowl is not, I don't think, is out of the question with this team. I mean, the defense plays like that. I think they can beat just about anybody in the league. So I mean, yes, realistically, they've never done anything in recent memory since we've been alive to prove that they're gonna take the next step. But I do feel like that another kind of like I feel like this would be the best thing the best chance to do it of any of the teams we've seen, I think.
I would agree. Yeah, it probably is. I think a lot of it comes down to quarterback play, and I just could see Dak Prescott throwing like 3 picks in that NFC Championship game. But the game next week will I kind of wish that was a primetime game. Eagles Cowboys, that 7-1, 5-2. That needs to be a Sunday night, Monday night game. It's a 325, which is decent, whatever. But I don't know why. I just really hope the Eagles beat the shit out of the Cowboys. I don't like them, and I kind of like the Eagles. So I'm kind of hoping I'll probably bet Philly based on that, not any financial reason.
So you don't like the Cowboys at all? I mean, I'm a Cowboys guy, so I do not like the Eagles very much. But
No, I grew up with a lot of Cowboy fans, and after our whole playoff experience we had against each other, we just kind of butt heads. So no, I'm not a Cowboys fan. However, I do like the Eagles, um, in some sense. So yeah, no, I don't want to see the Cowboys win a Super Bowl.
do you think Des Bryant caught that ball in the playoff game a couple years ago against Packers?
How it went down is exactly how it should have went down. We
Okay.
won that Super Bowl, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. Moving along here, Miami Dolphins had a big win over the Patriots, 31-17. I kind of thought that the Patriots would cover. They won. They got Bill Belichick his 300th win 2 weeks ago, but they came back out this week again and looked like total shit. They're not good. I told you this would have been what 3 weeks ago now. I said fire Bill Belichick, fire him. I don't. He got a 300th win. Good. They let him coach for one more, and they get his 300th win. I'm saying the same thing again this week. Fire him now. Fire Bill Belichick. If you were serious about if you're serious about looking towards the future, you gotta fire this guy. He has no idea. The coach, Bill Belichick, the coach, is still sharp as a tack. I would want him on my staff. I think he's a good head coach, coaching wise. But this dude is your GM too, and there's no talent anywhere on this team at all. At any position, there's no talent. And he's the GM. They just let him be the GM. He's one of those dudes that just some guys just like weasel their way in. It's like, how is this guy? He's a good coach, but now he's in charge of the personnel too. I mean, the Texans did the same thing with Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was a good head coach, and then all of a sudden he like weasels his way into like hot like a front office job, and it's like, no, this guy's not qualified for that. Bill Belichick is a Hall of Fame head coach, but he's not qualified to put in any input about who you draft and who you sign. He's drafting like in the third round. He's drafting like dudes from like Fordham, and he's just drafting like terrible people who don't know of, and like, it's just like, oh, that's just the Patriots. That's how they do it. Well, look how it's worked out. They have no talent on either side of the ball. They have Matt Jones as a scapegoat. He honestly is probably one of the more talented guys on their offense. Matt Jones is, and they want him to be the scapegoat. I don't think it's really him. I mean, Mac Jones got him to the playoffs a couple years ago. I don't think he's great by any means, but they're trying to put him off as a scapegoat. I don't think it's him. He has no talent at all. Like I said, in any aspect of this team at all. The best player is Matthew Judon, and probably Ramajay Stevenson on offense. I mean, who's your go-to guy on offense that revolves around Ezekiel Elliott, Ramondre Stevenson, Kendrick Bourne? I mean, I don't Demario Douglas. Who are you supposed to go to there? I mean, and then they have Juju Smith-Schuster. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And on the defensive side of the ball, who's your best players? Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers. Like he's supposed to be this world-renowned defensive guy. Their defense is okay, but they don't have any dudes lighting it up on that side of the ball either. You need to fire him. There ends my rant.
I didn't know yet. He's the GM. Like he has a lot to say in the players.
Yes, he's the general manager. He drafts the dudes. He signs guys. He picks up Juju Smith-Schuster. He gets when his backup quarterback Matt Corral just leaves the team without telling anybody where he went. It's no big deal. He'll just sign him right back a week later.
That makes me hop on the train with you. I think they should fire Bill Belichick because if that's true, then here's what he did. He's probably got people tripping up his ass. He probably did realize he needed probably to put some talent around Mac Jones. So what do? Go get out Zeke Elliott, which that is basically nothing for your young quarterback. And then recently, not even this year, but fucking Hunter Henry again, not like a star tight end. Devontae Parker, old washed wide receiver, and then yeah, Juju, who's you know mid level at best. So if he probably thought he was getting some talent. All those dudes are average as fuck, and none of them are going to stand out. So they're in a bad position again. I don't know where you go if you're a Patriots fan. They're probably so bamboozled right now, but it's what it is. They get this. They've had their reign of championships. They can sit down and take the back seat for a while. I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too. I grew up an avid Patriots hater, more so because of Tom Brady. It wasn't really much to do with the team. I actually kind of I've enjoyed watching the Patriots since he left. But I mean, and Belichick's been the GM for years. He's been the GM for a long time, but for the longest time, I don't think he was like calling all the shots. In recent years, more so since Tom Brady left, he's gotten a lot more involved and it's gotten a lot uglier. And I don't think this is really, people always argue it's like, well, Brady is just, he's the GOAT because he had success after. It's not Belichick. They're both GOATs. They both needed each other for exactly their, I mean, that's not how
Yeah.
that works. They're just, the thing is, he just got older and crustier, and then he tried to do a little bit too much more, and things just got sideways. Things can go in the NFL as a GM, things can go sideways very fast. And you could actually be a pretty good GM, but one move can just send a franchise into chaos. And it's just been a series of bad moves for these guys. I mean, I forget who it was. I forget who it was. They traded somebody away a couple years ago, and it's like they could have got a lot more out of this. I think they've had some weird trades. They've had some weird draft selections. They draft no-namers. They drafted like a fucking fullback or a kicker, some shit, a couple years ago, like in the third or fourth round. It's like, what is this guy doing? So I think if you're Bob Kraft, I think you need to let go of it. Just say, pull, pull Brian Ferentz and just have him resign and just fire him. Say he resigned. Think of some creative way to get him out of here, like the University of Iowa did today. But it's time to go. Like, I don't care if you're one of the goats. It's time to go. And credit Jerry Jones. I know I'm still going on the tangent here, but credit Jerry Jones. When he took over the Cowboys in the 90s, they had Tom Landry, who had been coaching since the 70s. And that was like the first thing Jerry Jones did when he took over. And that's when he was young hotshot at the time. He fired Tom Landry. He said, I don't care if you won a Super Bowl in the 70s. It's the 90s. You got to go. And I'm going to bring in Jimmy Johnson. If they fire this old man right now, the roster stinks, but it's still the Patriots, dude. They actually have some cred. They actually have they're like one of the GOATs in the history of the NFL. Like they are a franchise, they're like a franchise team, historically. So they could probably get a solid head coach, no questions asked. Especially with Robert Kraft, who's a damn fine, owner when he's not, off going to Michelle's parlors. So they could get a head coach, is what I'm trying to say. Fire the old man right now, Bill Belichick. His press conferences annoy me more than anything. After the games, he just makes excuses and he just barks at the media. And last week he was fucking around with a microphone and they're asking him questions. It's like it's over. It's over. He got his 300th win. You held out for another week. They got their ass stomped by the Dolphins, who yes are a lot better, but still.
Let's talk about the Dolphins a little bit. I love them so much, and I keep my whole TikTok is Mike McDaniel mic'd up shit because I keep liking it. They keep the algorithms fucking with me, but they're so good. I think they like you watch them, you're like they can win a Super Bowl. I just cannot imagine a world where the Miami Dolphins, win a Super Bowl. I don't know that they just never been that team. I don't know if it's written in the stars for them, but they are really good, I think, and they might ruin someone's playoff run in the playoffs.
I think so. This is why I put my tinfoil hat on here again. I think the NFL will give Mike McDaniel and Tua a Super Bowl. I think the Dolphins will win a Super Bowl pretty soon. maybe even before like a team like the Bills gets one. But it ain't gonna be
Yeah,
this year.
for sure.
Ain't gonna be this year. And the Dolphins aren't gonna win a Super Bowl this year. The offense is high powered, and the defense is actually pretty solid too. Um, the defense, I mean, when you look at it, there's not a lot of playmakers, but they play pretty well. I'd say they've exceeded their expectations defensively, but I just don't see that put. I just this year it's not going to put together. I don't think it's going to be put together for a whole Super Bowl run. Um, Mike McDaniel is an interesting guy. Here, hold on a second here, Sheets. Hold on a second. Give me a second here. I like McDaniel. I'll prove. I'm gonna. Yeah, give me a second.
I think you're wrong about they've got Xavier Howard. Don't they have Jalen Ramsey too and Javon Holland? The defense has got some dudes on it. And
Ramsey is coming back, or is back.
Yeah. He is coming back, or I think he is, because he had some whole thing with Adam Schefter, because Schefter tweeted that he was coming back before he even knew or something. But so they have some dudes on defense.
I'll get my Dolphins sweatshirt on.
Oh, look at that. I like that.
I'm a Mike McDaniel supporter just because everybody thinks we look alike, and I kind of said we do.
Yeah.
So I hope he does. I
Might
hope
as
he
well.
goes on to great things. I think he's a terrific coach. He's a young, sharp mind. He really is the future of the NFL. I think he's probably the sharpest mind offensively in the game right now. And they could definitely win a lot of Super Bowls, I think. Broden Coulter wants me to do the waddle. Well, we'll see. Well, he has to get on here first before we discuss that. Let's move on to this game. I talked a little bit more there about the Patriots more than I thought I would, but that's my big takeaway. If I was a GM of the Patriots, I'd be firing Bill Belichick right now. I would fire him. All right, moving on. This game is probably gonna get me riled up too for no reason. OT game between the New York Jets and the New York Giants. This game irked me. I watched a decent amount of it. These teams are both bad, and it's like the battle for New York, and it's like this is just sad. Like I've always been a New York sports guy. I've always wanted to live there. I like New York sports, and it's just kind of sad. It's like this is our two NFL teams is the Giants and the Jets, both in not very good states. Like I said, the NFL is rigged for Aaron Rodgers to come back. I told you that no matter how bad it looked on paper, they're going to be in playoff contention for this guy to come back. I said that the week after we went on, after he got hurt. I said that. And what do you know? They're 4-3 now. They pick up an OT win over the Giants in miraculous fashion again. All their wins are very crazy wins. They had a punt return against the Bills in the first game of the year. And then this game, the Giants just completely blow it at the end, and they give the Jets a chance to bring it to OT. So I don't know. It was a sad showing for the Battle of New York, but the Jets are in playoff contention at 4-3. And they have the Chargers next week, perhaps a winnable game. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and call it right now. It's a Monday night game. They're going to rig it for the Jets to win next week too. They already rigged it for them on Monday night once this year. They're going to do it again next week. Aaron Rodgers will be back in a couple weeks, dude. Like before you know it, Aaron Rodgers is going to be back on the field. So that was my takeaway.
I'm not a big fan. Like we've talked about 3 teams making it in the playoffs from a division. They would be the 3rd team in this division. But that being said, that they're tied for 7th right now in the AFC. They would. I don't know what the tiebreakers are, but they're right there. There's no other like dominant teams. What second place? AFC North 4-3, AFC South 3-4, AFC West 3-4. So this, you might be onto something here. These divisions getting 3 teams in, because this might be one. Miami and Bills fight for the top in first and second, and then the Jets sneak in as the 3rd. But I don't know. That's a scary thought that Rodgers is already back in a couple weeks.
It's weird. The whole thing was weird, and I don't know. We don't have to get into it, but I guess I'm just gonna anyways. I was all over this from the start, dude. The injury was weird. He just after the injury was over, after the play was over, he stood up immediately and was like looking at the sideline to the coaches for the next play and his hands are on his hip, and he's like looking at the coaches getting the next play in, and he's like, you can tell he's like they have like the headset, the monitor, and he's like getting the player. Someone's telling him something, and all of a sudden he just sits down, and then he's like rocking back and forth, and he's grabbing his leg. It's like, what is going on? And they're like, it's his Achilles. But then later they showed him, they had cameras on him in the tunnel, and he's just like walking around. He got carted off, but then he got off the carts and was walking. Then he was on crutches. And then a couple weeks ago, before the game, he's out there throwing passes. Now this week he's dropping back throwing passes. And they already said he's gonna be playing like week 12. We're gonna be sitting down for Thanksgiving dinner thinking about Aaron Rodgers back for the Jets already.
Is there a crazy world where the Jets make the playoffs and the Dolphins or Bills don't?
I think those teams all get in. I was just about to bring that up. I have the standings up right now. I think you can lock in that top 5 in the AFC: Chiefs, Dolphins, Jags, Ravens, Bills. Those teams will be in the playoffs. I think the Bills, you could maybe could go either way. I think they're a shoe-in. I think the Bills are a shoe-in. I think it's going to come down to these last 2 wild card spots. Right now, it's the Steelers and the Browns. Sheets, I don't think at the end of Week 18, I don't think it's going to be Steelers Browns in the playoffs. It might be one of the two. I don't see both of them in. Like I said,
Bengals?
What's that?
What about the Bengals?
That's what I'm saying. The Bengals are in there, but they're as the standings stand right now, they're not even in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry.
If the season ended today, number 6, number 7 is the Steelers and Browns. They'd be in the playoffs if it ended today. It's not going to be both those teams. It might not be either one of them. They both might be out. But like I said, the Jet, you know damn well the Jets are going to be in there. They've already proved my theory right. They're 4-3. They already proved that right. They'll be in the playoffs.
I hope you're right.
It'll probably be the Bengals too. I think the Steelers and Browns probably will peter out, and it's probably going to be those 2 teams.
That would be an awesome playoffs.
That'd be a
The
stack.
Dolphins, Buffalo, Rodgers with the Jets, the Ravens, Lamar. You could throw Trevor Lawrence in there, whatever. Not that exciting, but then Patty Mahomes, like that. This is gonna be an interesting playoff. I kind of hope it plays out that way. I don't really want Pittsburgh or Cleveland to make the playoffs. So yeah, I kind of hope we're right. I kind of hope they rigged it for Rodgers to come back and at least compete in the playoffs with the Jets.
It's trending that way. I mean, if my theory was going to be proven wrong, it would have been already proven. They already handed them a win. They already handed them multiple wins when they shouldn't have won. So they're 4-3. They already they had a convenient bye week in there too. So I think they're geared up. Give an extra week for Rodgers to come back. I think they're geared up for success. I think they will. If they're finding ways to win with the coup counter at quarterback, they're already 4-3. People thought the season was going to be shot as soon as Rodgers was out. So I think they're going to jump in there. The Bengals, you would assume they're going to be in there. I mean, you would assume that as the season is progressing, you would assume it's probably not going to be Pittsburgh or Cleveland. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be looking at some of these other teams, I don't think it's going to be the Texans. I don't think the Titans are going to make the playoffs. You can maybe argue that the Chargers could bounce back in, but that's about it. I think if that's your teams 1 through 7, with the Jets and the Bengals getting in those last 2 wild card spots, and you have the Bills as a wild card, that's a stacked 1 through 7.
Yeah.
That is
even if the Chargers make it and the Jets don't, or one of those other teams, throw Herbert in there. I don't care. It still looks a great team. So I'll be looking forward to that AFC playoffs.
Looking at the NFC, oh my God, I did not know this. If the season ended today, the Vikings would be in the playoffs.
Really?
Am I tripping? Am I looking at this right? That can't be right. Looking at CBS Sports. This can't be right.
If they have the tiebreaker over the Saints, then yes, in the division
record.
That is
wild. That is wild.
Yeah, because they're 2-0. They'd be in the fucking playoffs. That's crazy. We'll get to them when dipshit gets on here, but that's nuts.
AFC looking a lot tougher than the NFC, I think, top to bottom. Sheets.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, sure, but there's still some really good teams in the NFC that I think could beat any of those teams in a Super Bowl.
Moving on, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh. I thought they were going to give the Steelers a win here, but instead, Trevor Lawrence 290 yards in the pass game. It was really more of a defensive affair. The Jaguars beat the Steelers 20-10. Mitch Trubisky, I don't know. He has some rough weeks, and this was one of them. There's some weeks, or well, I mean, sorry, it was Kenny Pickett who got hurt, but he was. What I'm going to say is Kenny Pickett was off to kind of a rough start too. Then he got hurt. Mitch Trubisky came in, and then just all hell broke loose. But even before Trubisky came in there, it was already off to a rocky start. So Jacksonville is now 6-2. They are up there with the big dogs in terms of their record. Do you think they legitimately though are up there with the big dogs?
No. No, they're not. They're not up there with the Dolphins, the Bills, all those teams. They are 6-2. Good for them. That's a very good record through 8 weeks. And they're not a bad football team. They're good. They're actually a good football team, but they're not gonna they're not Super Bowl contenders in my mind. They're gonna make the playoffs, probably maybe win a wild card game, but probably not. And I think they're what do they got up next? Let's see. They got the 49ers. I think that's a loss. And then the Titans, Texans. So I mean, they'll probably go like 12-5, is it now? Yeah, 12-5, 13-4. But I don't think they're that good. You think they're really good?
I think they might. I think they might finish the regular season with a great record. I do not see them winning the Super Bowl or going to a Super Bowl, but I think they could have a great regular season, and I could see them in the AFC Championship game. I don't think they'll go to the play or a Super Bowl this year, but they're off to a great start to the Doug Peterson era. Doug Peterson, and in my mind, is an elite coach too. So good for them. I think they're on the. I mean, I think this year they could be in an AFC Championship game. Last year they won a playoff game. They rallied from a deficit at halftime to the Chargers last year and won. So they're. I mean, Doug Peterson's already off to a great start. I think they could win a lot of games in regular season. I just don't know if they'll win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I don't know if you saw this, but this I didn't see exactly what happened, but the Steelers fans and Deontay Johnson and Chris Boswell, they're all bitching about some. They're basically calling out the refs, and they won a
Yeah.
terrible called game and all this. I didn't. Did you watch this game? Did you notice anything?
I didn't watch a lot of it. I did. I was in the mix of games. Usually it's Colts take your focus, and then when on television break, I'm flipping around through the other games. I usually don't do red zone. It's just too much. Red zone is too, especially when the Colts are playing too. Then it's just too much at once. So I like to just have the focus on the Colts game, and I'll flip around when there's time to. So I got a couple of looks, but I didn't see any of the specifics. But I did hear them after the game and the post game bitching to the media. So, and I looked into it, and I think they have some gripe. I think that game was a little wishy washy. I think one of the guys flat out said it was rigged. And yeah, man, I've been saying that.
Yeah,
I think
Deontay
someone said
Johnson
that,
said
and I
that.
listened. I'm a big Deontay Johnson fan, man. He knows. He knows.
You weren't a fan of him before this podcast.
I didn't know I was neutral. I wasn't anti Deontay Johnson, but now I'm
Okay.
very pro Deontay Johnson. I think he's a great
All right.
receiver. I don't know. I've been pretty high on the Steelers the last couple weeks. I'm still not counting them out yet. I like this team, and I think they're gonna beat the Titans next week. That's a Thursday night game, so that's gonna be this Thursday. Yes, this Thursday night game is the Steelers and Titans. They already announced today that Ryan Tannehill is not gonna be starting. It's gonna be the young kid, Will Levis, getting a second start. And just as I suspected, I was trying to pull up here. All of the money, public money, is on the Titans because the rookie kid looked good. Will Levis looked good last week. So now all the money, every Joe Schmo is throwing their money on Tennessee. No, no. The Steelers are going to win this game. Steelers are going to win this game, and they're going to move to 5-3 with a showdown in 2 weeks against your Packers. So I think the Steelers are in a good spot. It's not a bad loss. The Jags are very good. So the Steelers' time to shine will be this Thursday when they beat the Tennessee Titans. Moving on again. This is a great segue. Next game, Will Levis got his first career win in the NFL. Congrats to Will Levis. I was never a Will Levis fan. I thought the Colts were going to draft him. Thank God we didn't. Well, at least at the time, I said that. Thank God we didn't. But who knows? Maybe this guy will be the stud, and Anthony Richardson will stink. He got his first win over Desmond Ridder and the Falcons. Desmond Ridder actually got the boot. We've been talking about that the last couple of weeks. A lot of people were calling for him to get benched a couple weeks ago. I was anti that. I said no, let the kid play. I still think Taylor Heineke's not going to. He might be a little better, but long term, Taylor Heineke's not the solution. So it's by doing this, I think they're pulling the plug on the Desmond Ridder experiment. I think they're giving up on him. So he must just not be good. I mean, if they're pulling the plug for Taylor Heineke is not a long-term solution. And I don't even know if there's a short-term solution. I don't think they're going to win this division. It's just not the Saints are going to win the division. I don't think it's going to be the Falcons. So that is kind of my takeaway is the Titans, Will Levis got his moment, kind of like Tyson Bagent got his moment 2 weeks ago. But I think his moment will fade very fast. I think the Steelers are going to beat them this week. So I think they'll move to 3-5 after this week. I don't think this move changes my opinion much of where the Titans are headed. I still think they're going to be below 500 at the end of the year. And I don't think the move to Taylor Heineke changed my opinion of the Falcons either. I think they're going to fall below 500 as well. So,
Yeah, I won't spend too much time on this game, but Will Levis, I am going to nitpick. I mean, he played very well. 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, about 70 some completion percentage. 2 of those touchdowns, I feel like we're just tossing up to DeAndre Hopkins, which in theory is probably a decent idea, but he just happened to catch him and get a touchdown. I think he has a come down back to earth game next week. Who'd you say they have next week?
Saints.
Yeah, I'll take the Saints.
Right? Steelers. They play the Steelers this Thursday.
Yeah, I'll come off Steelers. I'll still take the Steelers. The Stillers.
The thing is, though, those passes he had, he just shucked it up to D-Hop. But the thing is, before that they couldn't even have a guy who could even do that. Tannehill couldn't get the ball to anybody, and they tried with Malik Willis, but I don't think Malik Willis is it. This is their best shot. If I'm the Titans, I'm trying to see if anybody will take the cheese and take Ryan Tannehill off my hands for a draft pick. There's rumors that the Vikings are going to go after Ryan Tannehill. I think it's going to be Jameis Winston. That makes way more sense. So if you're the Falcons, see if anybody will take the fucking bait and take Tannehill off your hands. Anything for him. I would take any kind of pick. You say someone gives you a 6th rounder, I'd say take him. I would take the pick, get rid of this dude. I mean, I don't know what you make of Ryan Tannehill's career. He got into the playoffs once, maybe twice. I don't know if he got there multiple times. Maybe it was multiple times. Maybe it was 2 or 3 times. But I don't know. I don't know if that guy had I don't know what kind of – it's tough to make a career out of him. He's kind of like Andy Dalton, but maybe even like less to of a degree. Andy Dalton, I think, still accomplished more for the Bengals than Ryan Tannehill ever did with the Titans. So, I mean, you still have Derrick Henry, who I think is past his prime, but still solid running back. And you have DeAndre Hopkins, who that's where they brought him in, is for him to make plays like this. And they just, for whatever reason, he wasn't getting the ball the last couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden, boom, now he gets the ball. They look good. So you add him to the mix. It's a good spot for a rookie quarterback to be in a division that's not very good. So I think the Jaguars have already clamped their foot on this one. And I don't think the Titans will make the playoffs, but they're moving forward. I think you try to see if you can get anybody to take Tannehill and just let Will Levis play every week. I think that's your best bet.
Yeah, I would agree.
Moving on now, we are into 3 p.m. territory. We wiped out the noon games. This was just hats off to the NFL for this week 4 slate. There's 4 games on at once, and all 4 of them were great. They were the Eagles and Commandos. That went down to the wire. Then you had the Browns and the Seahawks went down to the wire. You had the Ravens and the Cardinals, which didn't really go down to the wire, but it was a close game for the most part. And the Cardinals were actually playing pretty well for a while. And then this game, I mean, it ended up being a two-score game, but everyone was watching this game and had an eye on it because it was a huge upset. And that was the Broncos over the Chiefs. Let's get started with the Eagles. We'll go there first. The Commanders were up big right away. Then they blew it. And Ron Rivera got criticized. They thought he should have challenged a play there at the end, and he didn't. Then they at the post-game press conference, he was like, "Oh, I didn't see it. I didn't see it on the big screen." And the guy in my ear said he didn't really see it either, so we just didn't challenge it. Just like, all right, okay. So they blew a big lead. The Eagles are 7-1, but I don't think they're the most. I mean, they have the best record in the NFL, but I don't think they're the best team that I've seen. I think there are some two-loss teams that are still better. But again, wins are wins. They find ways to do it. I'm not criticizing the Eagles. They're 7-1 for a reason. I just still think there's better teams out there. I mean, Jalen Hurts' numbers passing-wise really aren't that great, but he did show up through the air this week. I think going in this week, he was like passing touchdowns, 7 picks. He went off for 300 yards and 4 tutties this week. He looked really good. So the Commanders are now 3-5 with the L. What do you think? I know the Eagles are 7-1. Do you think they're the best team in the NFL though?
Not right now. I think they could be at the end of the year. I think they're going to wait like a smart team. They're going to wait to peak at the right time. You don't want to peak right now. They know they're a good team. They're going to be in the playoffs. So if they're not playing their best football right now, that's fine. They can still end up playing their best football and very well be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. I think they're very good. I think AJ Brown is so good. He's like 5 or 6 games now, over 125 yards straight, just going nuts. 2 touchdowns this week. Defense is good. I think Jalen Carter's injured, but they got too many dogs on that side. I think they're gonna be in the Super Bowl.
You think they'll be in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if they'll get there. I don't know. We'll see. I think they might fall just short again. It just doesn't. They're 7-1, but it just doesn't seem like. It seems like they seem like more like a 5-3 team to me than 7-1. I mean, this Commanders game went down to the wire. They played them at the beginning of October, a couple weeks ago, and they had to go to OT to win that one. The first game of the year, they barely beat the Patriots. They barely beat the Vikes. They looked pretty good against the Bucks. I think that was a Monday night game. But then they lost to the Jets.
Oh, whoa. If you preach your script, they're just falling to the script there.
The Jets, they are. They did fall.
So their only loss of the season was due to the script. Otherwise, it'd be 8-0 with wins over the Dolphins.
Yes.
I mean, not other great teams, but they'd be undefeated if it wasn't for the script.
You're right. I'm not denying that, but I'm saying they had squeak out wins over the Patriots, who aren't good. They had a squeaker win over the Vikings, who, I mean, I guess they're in the playoffs, but I don't think they're good. And then they had to squeak out 2 wins against the Commanders, and I'll give them a pass on that. Division rivals. They're good. They're good. Yes, I just think there's better teams. There's better teams.
There are right now
in the NFC too, even. Maybe.
I would agree.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. The NFC is this week was weird for NFC. The Seahawks had a big win over the AFC though. Seattle now 5-2 in a comeback fashion. I was watching this game a lot. Like I said, I love to watch Pete Carroll every week. He's one of the finest coaches in the league. And that was a great win for Seattle. 5-2 now. Geno Smith, another big win. And even though it was over PJ Walker, it's still a big win for the Seahawks. And now I'm trying to get their schedule pulled up here. They have a big game. I know they have a big game next week. I just can't remember who it's against.
Ravens, at Ravens.
Well, let's see. Let me look at the spread here.
5.5. Ravens are -5.5.
5.5. And the public is all over Seattle to cover this week. So the Seahawks will get blown out this week, which means it solidifies what I said. This win this week means even more. You had to have that win. If you don't beat the Browns, you're now 4-3. I think the Ravens will probably shellac them at home. So they'd be 4-4. So it's a big win for them.
Yeah.
And the Browns now 4-3. Do you think the Browns are still in the mix? I mean,
No.
Deshaun Watson is. I mean, they still have him once he gets back. They go
No.
out.
Yeah, I think they're done. The AFC, it's too deep. I don't think they're. And now that I'm thinking about the Seahawks more, they're going to be sitting at 5-3. The Seahawks are kind of like the Jags in the AFC to me, where they're a good team, but they're just not. They're not going to do much in the playoffs. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love their defense, but yeah, I think the Browns are fucking Seattle taking the division right now. They're sitting in first after the 49ers loss, and they're going to be one of those teams that look good all year, but think they'll still finish second in that division, make a wild card, and lose first round.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Seahawks, I think at the end of the season, you're kind of wishing you might have your bye week towards the end. I think at the end of the year, they kind of have a tough schedule. I'm looking at it right now. Down the stretch, you got games. You got games. We'll just go ahead even about a month. Let's go ahead a month from now. You have a game on the road. This is November 19th. You have a road, week 11, on the road against the Rams. Okay, but then you have 49ers, Cowboys, 49ers again, Eagles.
Yeah, that's tough.
And so they already had their bye week 5. That might bite them in the rear end in the long run. They're 5-2 now. It's not even 5-3. They have 5 wins and 2 losses. So looks even better right now. But at the end, I think they would rather have a bye week towards the end of the season instead of already having it.
They'd be lucky to get one win out of that 4-game stretch.
Possibly. That's why this win I think means a lot. Every win in the NFL matters, but this was one I think at the end of the year if you want to make the playoffs, you probably like, dude, we had to have that game. If we're gonna make the playoffs this year, or we are in the playoffs this year, it's a good thing we had that game. That's a reason why. And the other two 3 p.m. games, the Ravens over the Cardinals, 31-24. But really, that was a big time backdoor cover there at the end for the Cardinals. I think it was actually a 2-score game with like a minute left. Pretty much the Ravens rolled them. To me, the Ravens look like maybe one of the better teams, not only in the AFC, but maybe in all football. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think they are. They're a really good football team, and Lamar didn't even have to really run the ball much this game. He's kind of been threading teams with the passing game. I mean, it's crazy, but if he can continue to do that and run the ball as well as he does when he needs to, they're always going to be dangerous. Their defense is good. They're well coached. Um, the Cardinals just I don't. I mean, who knows what to think of them? They're in a shitty situation there. I don't even know what Kyler Murray's going to do for them. But yeah, I like the Ravens. I think they're going to be in the AFC Championship game. I need to write down all these predictions because I think I'm thinking clearly and spot on right now. So I need to place a future on the Eagles to make the Super Bowl, and if I could place a future on the Ravens to make the AFC Championship game, I would do that too.
Yeah, I think it's finally there's been enough weeks of the season where you kind of have a solid understanding of what each team is. There's a couple weeks there where it's like, oh, I don't really know. But
Yeah,
now teams are starting to mold a little bit. And the NFL is very wacky. It's going to change. Like right now, the 49ers are slumping. You know damn well there's going to be a stretch where they're kicking everyone's ass again. They still have a fucking talented roster. Have Kyle Shanahan. So it's a long season. But right now, things are starting to get a little bit more clearer for some of the teams. Still a lot to play out, but you can kind of get an understanding of most of the teams to an extent. And then the fourth game of this window was, like I already alluded to, the Broncos and the Chiefs. Denver gets the win, 24-9. It's now 3 wins for the Broncos. That's quiet 3 wins. They won last week against the Packers, but before that, I thought they were winless. I forgot that they won against the Bears. So it's kind of a quiet 3 wins for them. I mean, I like that's a team you think should be like you think would have like 1 win right now or 2 wins, but now they're 3 and 5. They have a bye week now. This week they have a bye week. Who knows? Do you think they think they could get anything going in Denver, or was just a fluky game?
No, nope. Denver's fucked. Fluky game. They're not making the playoffs. Um, the Chiefs. This doesn't really affect them much, although they do play the Dolphins overseas next week. Then they get a little bye, and then they play the Eagles. Going into the Dolphins Eagles duo game, you probably don't want to lose to the Broncos. It's going to make this a lot tougher. Um, there's a chance they could find a 3 game skid here, and then they'd be 6-4. Which, if they're playing for that bye, um, that's going to be a little tough. You're going to have to get at least one of those wins for sure. But this game, I mean, yeah, the Broncos won. Good for them. They're not going anywhere. The Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs and make the playoffs and make a run. So I don't think it meant much.
Funk says the Chiefs might lose 3 straight. What do you think?
They could. They might. It's. I mean, even if they do, it's not like they're not Super Bowl contenders. That'd be a good storyline in your script. Chiefs lose 3 straight. People start doubting them, and then next thing you know, they're back in the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, looking like the team they usually are.
There's a good chance they do it, Sheets. They're doing it to the Niners right now. The Niners look like the hottest new thing on the block. And next thing you know, they stink. So they like to do that to you. Also, Funk put on here. Here we go. Per NFL rumors. Hopefully this is. I hope this is a legitimate account and not a troll. Because if this is true, teams are calling the Colts trade for Zach Moss. If that's true, that's genius. That's genius front office. I was bashing the front office earlier. It really hasn't been much of our GM as it's been Jim Mercer, the owner. But if that's the case, that's smart. Get this dude some fucking touches, get his trade value up, ship his ass out. You have your starting running back now, Jonathan Taylor, ready to get back in the swing of things full time. So I hope that's true. And he's not pulling a fast one on me here because I would like that.
I got a feeling he is.
He said per NFL rumors. Hopefully that's a real one, a real
Well,
Twitter. And moving along here, there was also there was another there was another game in the slot too, in this 3 o'clock window. There was 5 games going on at once, and that was the Bengals over. Was the Eagles game a noon game? About a noon game actually.
maybe.
Either way, there's still one more 3 o'clock game, and that was the Bengals and the Niners. That was like the big game of the 3 o'clock slate. Like going into it, everyone had their eyes on that one. I think that was the Jim Nance game, right? Jim Nance and Romo were on that call. I thought maybe I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah,
But
it was on TV. I watched it on my phone.
yeah. Who did the Broncos Chiefs game? Who was the announcer for that game? Do you remember?
That one I did not see. No.
That's right. You're coming back from the game. I should know. I was the one watching them. But either way, the Bengals are back. We were wondering about that 2 weeks ago. I knew that the NFL would have them bounce back. You said the same thing. You said the Bengals are going to be there in the end, and you were right. And that's 2 weeks. It's 2 wins in a row now. I did have a bye week two weeks ago, so they have 2 wins in the last 3 weeks. Their win 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago was over the Seahawks. Then they had a bye week. Now they beat the Niners. They're 4-3. They're still on the outside looking into the playoff picture and on the division race. And like I said, this game this week means a lot for both teams, the Bills and the Bengals. So do you think what's your takeaway of the 49ers? They've lost now a couple in a row. The Bengals, like you said, we knew they're going to be back, but the big storyline from this was more of the Niners are kind of collapsing a little bit. Are you worried about them?
No, no, not at all. They didn't look great yesterday, but I'm not worried about them whatsoever. They think they have a bye week next week. Yes, they do. So they have a bye, gonna get healthy. A lot of people, there's a lot of talk about Purdy and whether his status as a good, bad, average, whatever quarterback. The man had over 400 yards of offense yesterday. Yeah, he had 2 picks. They threw for 365 yards and ran for another 57 and scored a touchdown. I don't think I don't think there's any reason for a 49ers to be like, "Oh, no, what's going on?" They're good. They're fine, and they'll be fine. They're still gonna win that division. Seahawks, we talked about their tough schedule in that stretch. No, I'm not worried. The Bengals, you're right, they're back, and they're gonna be back, and they're not going anywhere. I love Joe Cool and Jamar Chase, and I hope they keep winning because they're back. I may even Bengals. Is it crazy to say Bengals Ravens AFC Championship game and 2 divisional, missing the Chiefs and the Bills?
That would be pretty sweet.
I would take that if that was the I would that'd be my
I would,
ideal
I would take that too.
championship game.
What if it was the Cleveland Browns though?
No, fuck them. No.
Okay, and then we'll get to our Sunday night game. Like we said, was a stinker. The Sunday night game 2 weeks ago was the Chargers and the Chiefs. A little better, but still the Chargers, who have a crappy record. 3 weeks ago, a Sunday night game was the Bills and the Giants. Sunday night football game the week before that was actually good. It was the Niners and the Cowboys, but it was a blowout. Then week 4, you had Jets and Chiefs Sunday night football. Week 3 Sunday night football was the Raiders game, like I said, the Raiders and the Steelers. Week 2 Sunday night football was the Dolphins and the Patriots. And week 1 Sunday night football was the Cowboys and the Giants. It was a 40-0 smackdown. Cheats. Every Sunday night football, Roger Goodell has given us a shitty-ass game. And this one somehow was one of the worst ones. The Chargers and the Bears. Chargers won 30-13. Tyson Bagent looked good 2 weeks ago. Not so much this week. Justin Herbert, 3 tutties, no picks. Eckler, receiving touchdown, 7 catches for 94 yards. The Bears are now 2-6. The Chargers needed a win there. They're back to 3-4. Are they back though? Are the Chargers back, or do you still think they're not good?
They're a good team, but they're not. They're going to be around 500. Back to your point about these Sunday night primetime games. Roger Goodell could hire us to make the schedule every year. We'll do it for fucking free. He doesn't even have to pay these guys that he's probably paying $200,000 salaries to make the primetime schedule. Let us do this. Why? How is that possible? How do Lamb on the Line podcast hosts have a better idea of what should be playing on prime time and what shouldn't be than the fucks that are making millions setting the schedule?
Right.
What
We're just two schmucks on the podcast.
that shouldn't be.
Not making peanuts.
That's crazy. That is nuts. Goodell, if you're listening, if you somehow get a hold of this clip, just let us do it for free. You don't even have to pay us.
Roger, if you're watching this, fuck you, dude. This is what, week 8? We're covering week 8 of the NFL, and I just listed off every single Sunday night football game that we've gotten this week, and they all sucked ass on some level or on another. Now, I did say next week's Sunday night game is actually good, and maybe the rest of them away are very good. But that was dog shit to start the year, dude. And I know you tried. You tried to give us – you thought the Giants and the Cowboys, and okay, well, you did a shitty job. You not one week did we go into the week and say, oh, damn, that's going to be a good Sunday night game. You had to fucking scratch your head and think of reasons to maybe want to watch it. They've sucked each week. Oh, the Steelers and the Raiders, they were rivals in the 70s and the 80s. No one cares, dude. I get Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are, no matter who they play, it's like, okay, people will watch them. But the Jets, dude, find us better teams for them to play in prime time. You put them on against the Jets, and I guess it made sense. It was in New York City, and Taylor Swift got to go to the game and just parade around New York. So maybe that made sense for them. But the game stuff sucked. And yeah, I mean, the Bears suck too, and the Chargers maybe can make a little push, but I think they suck as well. I think the Browns are better than them. I think the Steelers are better than them. So fuck the Chargers and the Bears and all these Sunday night games that I fucking watch every week. But next week's Sunday night game is good. It is the Bills and the Bengals. So that next week will be really good.
Of course.
All right. It is 6:45, and our guest is in the waiting room. Did you have anything else you want to get to before Broden Coulter enters the chat?
No. Fucking throw him in here. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey.
What's up, sons?
I'll let you two just hash it out. I'll let you two just hash it out right away. Bengals. Packers and Vikings last week. Sheets was at the game. Who wants to go first?
I'll take the mic. I'll take the mic, Sheets. Yeah, so again, shout out Bailey. Went to the game, first time at Lambeau. Great experience. Absolutely loved it. Other than the game aspect of the trip, we're in trouble. There was a point in time where I thought I was in Lambeau for the first time. I wasn't even going to see a Packer touchdown. Thankfully, Dobbs proved that wrong. But we clearly do not trust Jordan Love. We threw, I don't know how many screen passes. Everything was underneath. Apparently, he's just not capable of throwing it deep. And we fell short to a not very good NFL football team called the Minnesota Vikings, who now we're both in lose-lose situations because if anything, if one of us was going to come out of this with a win, it was going to be the Vikings win and Kirk Cousins is healthy. Now he's fucked out the rest of the season. So you get a dub. What are you guys, 4-4 now? Yeah, 4-4. We're 2-5. We're going to keep fighting. We're not out of anything yet, but this 4-4 Vikings team isn't going anywhere, and I'm here to debate that.
Well, great take now. Kirk comes out of that game healthy, and
that's what I'm saying.
They're the team everyone thought they were going to be. So, I mean,
no, they're the team. They're the exact team I thought they were going to be. An average, mediocre team. Just like they're better than average?
Well, not anymore. I think they're better than average team. I think they're Kirk's healthy. They're flirting with the top of the NFC. They're starting to figure it out now. They have one of the best O-lines, which Kirk never has. Their defense doesn't completely suck ass like it usually does. So, I mean, with Kirk's accuracy and arm, and we're doing this, we hit our win streak with Jefferson out, making O'Connell have to work for his plays a little bit. So, I mean, when Jefferson comes back and Kirk stays healthy, and then the schedule that we have coming up the next 6 games, I mean,
yeah,
they would have been flirting with top 3 in the NFC if he came out of that game healthy. Now I don't even know what the fuck to do.
No.
Schedule-wise, the next 6 games are winnable with Jaron Hall. The next 6 games are winnable with you at quarterback.
Well, that's true. That's 100% true because I could play quarterback in the NFL without a doubt and probably still win a couple games. But he's not the answer. And our longtime listener,
I never said he was, but
back here is saying he's saying crab legs. Is he the answer? Is Jameis Winston gonna? Did I watch Kirk Cousins take his last snap in a Vikings jersey?
I mean, very well could. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't want Jameis. I don't want them to bring anybody else in. Honestly, there's nobody good to bring in.
You wouldn't want to take Jameis?
No.
What?
He's too problematic at quarterback.
You got to start Jared Hall.
I mean, now's the time to see if he's worth the shit.
I'll tell you right now, he ain't.
I mean, not yet.
No, there's no yet. I'm hopping quick, and then I'll let you guys get back at it. But I was shocked. I didn't know the Packers, I didn't know the Vikings were back to 500. I thought they were 3-5. I didn't know they had 4 wins and 4-4, and then the fucking playoffs. At the season end of the day, to be in the playoffs. You got to go get Jameis Winston, man. you got to go get Jameis Winston. He might not – the market stinks. You want to go get a quarterback right now, you're looking at Ryan Tannehill. You're looking at crab legs. Here's one. Lysinger just put this one on here. Carson Wentz.
Dude.
Those are your best options.
The market is so
crab
bad.
legs is the best of those three, but those are the three options you pretty much have.
I don't even know who I want out of all of them.
Jared Hall's not good. You're in the playoffs right now, and you're on the cusp of potentially getting back into the division race. I think the Lions will lose a few. I mean, you got to go get somebody. And Tannehill's not great. Crab legs ain't great. Carson Wentz is. I would rather probably take Tannehill over Wentz, but I think you got to go get crab legs.
I don't know, dude. He's so problematic in that. I mean, it helps that our defense is a lot better this year to make up for his bullshit if we do go get him. But if we had the Niners and then the Lions and some other good team within the next 4 weeks, I'd be like, yeah. But the next 4 games is the Falcons, the Saints, the Broncos, the Bears. If this isn't a perfect time to try and see if Jaron Hall is worth a shit with an offensive so you play terrible. You end the season with 5 wins. You're a top 5 pick, and you can get one of the quarterbacks in the best quarterback draft class in a long time. So I mean, you do good, you're in the playoffs. You do bad, you get a new quarterback.
That's what we play this for, to make the playoffs. If you're sitting here 4-4 with, we just talked about, I don't know if you're listening before, we just talked about Seattle that has a very tough schedule coming up. They're 5-2. The rest of the teams are 4-2. I mean, you have the Cowboys that'll probably automatically make it, but there's 2 other spots. If you have a chance at making those 2 other spots, you cannot take that chance on Jared Hall. You got to sign Jameis Winston today. Bring in a fun-ass dude who's got a great personality. He might throw some picks. He's come in the locker room. That locker room is not going to be happy playing under Jared Hall. If you go get Jameis, you might at least give him a chance.
What does Jameis have to prove, though?
He throws touchdowns.
He doesn't. So we bring in Jameis to make the playoffs. He's not a playoff-ready guy. He's hardly ever made the playoffs, if ever. And so we lose first round. And then we could have had Jaron Hall and take a chance. If he wins, he's good. Nick Mullins sucks, Stulkin. And so, I mean, what's Jameis? Jameis going to get us to the first round of the playoffs, and we'll lose. He's a good personality. He's fun to watch. But we're going to get with Jameis, we're going to get to the first round and lose. So it's like, take a chance on the young guy you drafted with an easy schedule. If you do good, you're making the playoffs anyway. If you don't, you're going to be in the category for one of the good quarterbacks in the draft. With a good O-line,
I think
this Jaron Hall has an arm and he can move. So, I mean, yeah, he's not great. But, I mean, you're at the point where the NFC is not deep enough to where you're you can make the playoffs with a bad record. And so, I mean, that's my take.
I'd still rather make the playoffs.
I don't want to bring in an average dude. Tannehill, Wentz, and Jameis haven't had good years Tannehill had 1 good year in Tennessee. Ever since then, he's been shit. Wentz has sucked all the time besides the playoff run. Jameis is just fun to watch. Doesn't really ever do anything. So, I mean, you're bringing in an average guy to hopefully make the first round of the playoffs and lose. Whereas we can test out our whatever we drafted him at. If he does good, we're in the playoffs with the same record we would have with any of those 3 quarterbacks. We lose, we're there for the quarterback in the drafts. That's my take behind it. The O-line's good. The defense is good. It's no better time to test out a new guy. If our offensive line was shit, he'd be screwed.
I don't know. If I was a Vikings fan, I would want Jameis at quarterback. I don't know. I don't disagree with your take. If you want to see the new guy and see how he does and take some time and then potentially just end up being 4-8 randomly, then I guess you pay that price and hopefully you get a quarterback in the draft. But if I was in your position, I would want them to go get Jameis.
But I need both of you right now. If we bring in Jameis, is there a chance of the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay,
no.
So what are we doing? What are we going to bring in Jameis for 1 week in the playoffs?
You don't want to start a losing culture. You don't want to be that team that goes 4-13, and then all of a sudden you lost the locker room. People are upset. and you go on these skids with years where you don't win shit. You want to, if you have the option to make the playoffs, I know it sounds dumb because you can get a better draft pick, but you create a winning culture. You show that you can do it. The guys are more confident going into next year. I just think that's the better path to take.
Then who's the quarterback next year? We bring Jameis to finish out the year. No way he's going to be our starting. I'd rather die
Jordan
than
Love
be our starting quarterback next. Jesus Christ.
I would rather go to the playoffs. If I'm Vikings fan, I'd rather go to the playoffs this year. I would rather get Jameis Winston, have a funny ass time, like Leisinger said. He's the funniest dude in the NFL. So you just have a fucking laugh of a time. You'll probably go to the playoffs. I would assume you would go to the playoffs. You're in the fucking playoffs right now, and you've had a shit ass start. It's only going to get better, I think. If you get a guy in there right now, I think it's only going to get better for the Vikings. I think with a young coach who made the playoffs last year, you would want to go back again this year instead of tank and stink and then be like one of those teams where you're like the Giants. Like, oh, we were good last year. Now we suck balls. What are we good at? Is Brian Dable good? I would rather not get a rookie quarterback next year in the draft and go to the playoffs this year, maybe not win a Super Bowl or even win a game, but then reassess at the end of the year and just say, hey, we still had a good season. But I get it. If you want to, if you're pro, get a young quarterback. Jameis Winston would probably get to the playoffs, I think. I don't think Jaren Hall would. I don't think Jaren Hall is any good. I think you can cut him out altogether. But if you want to keep playing him, though, that's your best shot at getting a young guy in the draft.
I mean, he's young. He can move a lot. He can move a lot better. Kirk hangs out in the pocket. He doesn't really scramble that much. Jaren Hall can move, and he's got a rocket of an arm too. So, I mean, those two combos in a good system can, I mean, have some benefits, I guess. And, I mean, I think Jefferson being out the past few weeks has done wonders for O'Connell's coaching in general. He could hide behind Jefferson all he wanted last year. Without him this year and now going on our win streak, I think that kind of helps him cater a game plan to a specific person. He couldn't just bail out with Jefferson all the time. He had to use his rookie receiver.
Speaking of, great segue. One of the questions from Joe Schmo out of Johnston wants to know if Jordan Addison is a top 15 receiver in the league right now.
No. Next question.
Broden?
He's on my fantasy team. He's good, but
he's probably saving you wins.
He is. I've been starting him every week, honestly, in the slot.
Broden, is he a top 15 receiver?
Probably not yet. I mean,
okay, good answer.
He's gonna be.
He will be.
He will be. Not right now, though. Not this year.
No.
He won't be this year.
No.
Maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Maybe.
I mean, if he has got nobody to throw to him.
Actually, no.
Then they're gonna suck.
Sorry. Top 15 is tough to make, actually, as a receiver. He's probably not going to be there in the next 2-3 years. Maybe ever.
What? Are you talking about like all time?
No. Just like
okay, I don't think
season.
that
Like there's just too many. I had written down 23 receivers better than Jordan Addison. And the top 15 I'm looking at, like that's pretty tough.
Who's right above it?
I took it as if I was on a random NFL team and I had to pick my receiver, I had DK above him, probably way above him, Jalen Waddle above him, way above him, Terry McLaurin, Puka Nacua, Chris Olave.
Oh my God, Puka Nacua, spare me.
Okay, all right.
That hype is so stupid.
He's good.
That is
Let's get to the picks. Let's get to the Monday night preview here.
Absurd.
It's a good place to end around. We got Gabe Davis. People think Gabe Davis is a top 10 receiver. Fucking Puka Nacua is the next Randy Moss. Let's get to the Monday night game sheets. This is going to be a good game, guys. Some of the Monday night games have been a little questionable, but I'm actually excited for this one. And maybe you guys think it's going to suck. And I don't know, it's not the most glamorous matchup tonight, but I don't know. I'm pretty excited between the Lions and the Raiders because I think the Raiders are going to win. I think the Raiders are going to pull an upset tonight. I think they'll definitely cover the spread, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo gets a big win. I think he bounces back. What do you guys think about the Lions tonight?
Go ahead, Bill.
Is Amon-Ra, is he still questionable or is he playing?
He's playing.
I mean, I know the Lions have these big wins and they have a good record. I'm still not sold on them. They're the Lions. I'm not sold on them. But tonight, if it was in Vegas, I think for sure the Raiders would win. I don't think they're good, but I think they're scrappy. And I mean, everyone forgets about Jacoby Myers. He's having a pretty good year, hiding behind Devontae Adams. So I think, and Max Crosby could blow Trent Williams off the ball. He's unstoppable. And so I think that could play into the Lions' favor a little bit. I think Jared Goff gets kind of riled up when he gets pressure. So I think the Raiders could cover for sure. If not, go in there and win.
That's interesting. I'm not sold on the Lions either. I think they're a good team. I'm not sold that they're one of these great teams. But the Raiders, I think the Raiders fucking stink. And I do think like Max Crosby's good, Devontae Adams good, Jacoby, like they have good players. So I just don't think they are. I don't think they're that good of a team. But I don't know. I'm staying away from both sides in this game. I will be betting props. I don't know who I like money line. If I like the Lions money line or if I like Raiders with the points. Lines with the points. I have no idea. I have no gauge on this game. But I hope it's interesting. I hope it's really high scoring. The primetime games tend to be unders. I want to see touchdowns tonight, specifically Amon-Ra. But did you guys each come with a leg for our Lamb on the Line parlay?
Yep.
Yeah, I have a couple in mind. I'll see what you guys go with first, and I'll decide.
Why don't you say yours off, Meisner, and then save the last one for the Lamb on the Line pick?
Well, no, I want to hear you guys first, and then that'll help gauge which one I go with.
Okay.
I have right here.
Broden, go ahead.
I'm stuck between two. The odds on the first one, I would like to be a little less than what they currently are. Started with Jacoby Myers over 4.5 receptions. I've got him sitting on my bench in one of my fantasy teams, and he just very sneakily puts up points each week. And I think the Lions are going to focus in heavy on Devontae Adams, the ex-Packer. So I think that'll open the door up for some catches tonight for him. I think he could even score a touchdown.
What's your
He's
other?
had a couple the past couple of weeks. My other one is Max Crosby over 0.75 sacks.
Okay, so here's the problem with that, because I did like that. I almost took Crosby to record the sack. Those oftentimes could not be parlayed with like receiving overs or unders. So I kind of like Jacoby Myers over 4.5. His Jacoby Myers 5+ receptions is -166. So I like Jacoby Myers at 4 receptions. What do you think, Myers?
Yeah, I mean, Devontae will pick up his fair share, but other than that, yeah, he's kind of stepped into the role. I kind of like that one. I think that's a good look.
So we'll take Jacoby Myers 4+ receptions. Interesting enough, Sheets. I like his alternate receiving yards. If he's gonna record 5 catches, we're saying I'll take his. And if you're on FanDuel, this is an option. Jacoby Myers 40+ yards. If we're gonna go with his receptions, I think if he has 5 of them, or even 4. Sorry, in the Lamb on the Line parlay, it's Jacoby Myers 4 receptions. I think he gets 40 yards. So that's gonna be my leg.
Okay. So that's why I like to wait and see. I was gonna do a receiver one, but I actually think this worked out better. I'm gonna go. You're on FanDuel, right?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. Go to kicking props.
Yeah,
We are
like this.
We are taking Daniel Carlson's over 5.5 kicking points. So he needs to have over 6 points. Whether it's 2 field goals, 6 extra points.
Yep.
I think the Raiders will, like I said, I think the Raiders will put up some points. And yeah, I like that.
They can't be combined.
He was on the injury report all week. He just became available today.
Don't mean shit.
Don't mean shit. Okay.
No. Over kicking points, Daniel Carlson. I think he'll have more points than Riley Patterson does. Riley Patterson's supposed to get 7.5 kicking points. Is his over under? Fuck him. I think Carlson did more than that.
Sheets, I do love that pick, and I'm actually going to bet it straight right now, but it cannot be combined.
That is dumb. That's bogus.
I
was able to took over 1.5 field goals made for plus 120 on mine.
All right, I'll go back to my other one. I was going to do some receptions. I guess we can do – that's fine. Oh, shoot. We have 4.5 Jacoby Myers. Damn, but that's – I'm saying that kind of goes against –
Were you thinking Devontae?
Yeah, but I don't want to ride against – that's for parlay purposes. I don't want to ride against our boy Jacoby.
I think they both could hit.
They could.
What were you thinking?
I had another one too. Let me pull it up. I had it on I wrote them down. Oh yeah, let's go to rushing. Let's go to rushing yards. Jameer. So we got Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs. I can see Jahmyr Gibbs having a big night, I think.
Okay, you want to bet it's over and
yeah, let's roll Jahmyr Gibbs over 71.5 rushing yards.
It's a big day.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
It is. I really wanted that kicking prop to hit. I was confident on that. That one I was sold on.
Well, either way, Meisner's legs, I believe. I don't know how many times we've done this now. Maybe 3. I thought maybe we were just 1-1, but I don't think Meisner's leg is missed yet on this pod. So we've got Jacoby Myers over 40 yards. Jacoby Myers 4+ receptions. And lastly, Jahmyr Gibbs over 71.5 rushing yards. If you're on FanDuel, you can go ahead and press that 50% boost plus 243. I like those odds, and it is placed. Hopefully we can see a second win for the Lamb on the Line parlay.
I'm afraid my legs will be the one that blows it. I liked your guys better, but that's fine. I think my last legs have hit, so I don't know. I think it'll hit.
Big rush.
He's have a good night, and fucking what's his name is gonna go off. That's all I gotta have to happen. 2 guys got to do good.
Boys, I just realized I'm in Texas, and they don't have sports betting.
In Texas, they don't?
No. Fuck.
I can't even blame you. I made that same mistake in Wisconsin. Those poor states don't have fucking sports betting. It's ridiculous.
What the hell, Jerry Jones?
We'll get your share of the parlay winnings.
Put it in for me.
Yeah.
Bookie.
All right, fellas. Hey, Broden, thanks for joining us after a big Vikings dub. We'll see what happens in the next day or two. Next week's show is going to be pretty exciting with the trade deadline and everything that happened. I'm glad that even though the best of friends between Packers and Vikings fans can still come together and have a very cordial show. You guys were better to each other than I thought you were. I thought you were going to go at each other's throats. So, if you don't have the guys anything else to say, this is it for Lamb on the Line. Let's get to that Monday night game. Thanks again, Broden, for joining us. Thanks, everybody, for joining in the chat room today. It was a good episode. This might have been the best episode we had, I think, of them all. Peace out, everybody. We are hopping off. Go enjoy your Monday Night Football.